Hey there, welcome back to the homestead. Today we are going to meet inside. The weather is freezing and it's windy. It is so cold out there. It is the first week of January and it is highs in the 40s, lows in the 20s. So I'll just be snuggled up in my blanket here for this little bit. Thanks, Mom, for the blanket. And today we're going to be talking about our move from California to South Carolina, why we moved, and our actual trip out here and where we ended up. So before we get into it though, I did want to say I have wanted to bring each one of you with us, and I would love to have each one of you over for a visit every week. So in order to accomplish that, I will be taking some time each week to make a short video and share it with all of you. So think of this as my way of bringing you all along with us on our journey and having you over for a weekly visit. So why did we move? This is a question we have been asked so many times, as you can imagine, from both people in California and people here in South Carolina. And we don't mind the question, but it is a loaded question because there are just so many reasons. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and fold some towels while we chat. So where it all started for me, okay, was the Sonoma County firestorm of 2017. We had an emergency evacuation at 5 a.m. There were like a dozen fires burning all over the place all at once. So this was a mass evacuation, okay? There was like 100,000 people that were trying to get out. They were in their pajamas, just trying to get out and get to somewhere safe. Okay, so it was a very traumatic situation. And I remember that right after our neighbor pounded on our front door to wake us up, the first thing I did was try to contact my daughter and her husband to make sure they were awake and make sure they were aware of what was going on. And the first thing my husband did was he went in and he woke up the boys. We just needed to get what we could, to take what we could and get out fast, okay? And what was really sad about this was that so many of our friends lost their homes. The fires lasted for like 3 weeks and burned 110,000 acres or something like that. We went to a church at the time where on that campus, not only was there the church, but there was also a private school, and our homeschooling group met there. And just from that one campus alone, 70 families lost their homes. I heard, I think over 5,000 homes were destroyed in our county. I believe that's right. So this was a major event. And a major event like this does change you. So that Sonoma County firestorm was actually the first time that the California fires came to our community. But then it was also the start of what has been called ever since the annual fire season. So a few weeks after this major event, there was a women's conference at one of our local churches. And I had purchased my ticket for the conference weeks ahead or even months ahead before this whole event happened. And the topic, which was picked a year in advance, was on contentment. So that's pretty amazing. God really knew what the women in our area needed to hear after what we had just been through. Okay, and many of the women attending had lost their homes, and these were our friends. So we were all feeling it big time. The speaker, okay, so this is where our move all started for me. This speaker touched on an experience, described actually in detail, an experience of moving. And it was difficult for her, but she was showing how good God is and how faithful He is. She spoke about needing to surrender and needing to follow God and her husband, okay? So she described to us how she was really well rooted in her previous location. So many memories made, raising their family and so forth. And she often practiced hospitality as well in that home. But then her husband received a call to go pastor a church across country. And she wrestled with that. She was like, Lord, I love where we live. I love our home as far as like, this is where all the things happen. And this is where I can, host events and gatherings. And she always had women over and all of that. She just really wrestled with all of those things. And it was difficult for her to let go of her home and all that it meant and all that included for her. So it was great listening to her. She shared her heart and how God really spoke to her really personally, and he gave her peace about the move. And he was basically like, I am your home, whether you're here or whether you're there, I am your God. And so you can go. And so she really felt peace about it from him, and he helped her to learn to trust him more, to be abiding in him, and she learned contentment. So it was great timing to hear from that, especially at a time when so many women had lost their homes and were feeling really unsettled. And as I listened to this speaker, she the message really touched my heart, and God spoke to my heart during that conference right then and there, telling me that we were going to be moving to. So that is where it all began for me, was right there at that women's conference on contentment. And God saying, you're going to be moving too. So it scared me at first, but I believed him, and I waited for his leading and his timing. All right. So come on over into the kitchen now. I'm gonna make a little food. I'm really starving, so I'm gonna make some eggs with some spinach and mushrooms in it. So I'm gonna go over some other reasons that led to our move while I'm cooking here. So besides God's call telling me that we were going to move, and besides the annual fire seasons that we started having, we just really wanted to experience freedom. We wanted to be able to live maybe in a smaller town, and we needed a slower pace of life. We really needed to step off the hamster wheel, because we were going a million miles a minute, basically. We were working 50 hours a week and still in survival mode because of the cost of living. Okay? The cost of living was just so high that every time you felt like you were kind of getting somewhere, then prices would just go up. So, wash my hands here. Okay. So, we knew we needed a lower cost of living, and we really wanted the ability to be able to work at home together. Let me check the lighting here for you. It's all good. Okay. So we really wanted we needed a lower cost of living, and we wanted the ability to work together from home. And also another reason was, unfortunately, in our little town, we watched as the homeless issue and crime increased. So that wasn't good. Water. Water is such a basic need, and in California, for those of you who don't know, we would go several months without rain. And that makes water really expensive. The last the last bill I received before we moved, our water bill was like $250 for 1 month. So that kind of makes water unaffordable. Makes it very costly to be able to grow even just our small garden that we had. And also the lakes would be getting closed down. Tournaments would be getting canceled. My husband owns a bass fishing company, and he makes custom bass fishing baits. So if there's no water, and if the fishing gets shut down, if the lakes are being closed down, that's really bad for business, right? We are a hunting fishing family, so that was another reason for our move. California kind of makes it difficult to pursue those activities, making it expensive, and there's just really tight regulations. And so we knew we wanted to find a state where those activities would actually be encouraged instead of kind of discouraged. Okay, so those are some of the reasons why we knew we needed to move. Let me turn this down a little bit. There's a lot of them, as you can see, and that's not even all of them. This is kind of the most important ones that I could think of. So now let's talk about where we ended up. We had a list of what we were really hoping for in a property. We wanted land with space. You know, like we wanted to have some leftover mushrooms from the other night. I'll put those in there. Oh, yes. We wanted to get some land so we could grow more food, you know, and have some space. And we wanted to make sure it was a place that had no restrictions. So again, we would be able to have freedom. And we were looking for a property that had privacy. Mostly level, not, you know, we didn't want to have a lot of hills. A slight slant though, because we knew we wanted to make sure there was good water runoff and no worry about flooding or anything like that. We wanted to have open area for our chickens, a fenced yard for Bo, our dog. We wanted to have a creek on our property. These were all kinds of things that we were hoping for. We also really wanted to make sure we had a larger home, because our home was great while we were raising our kids, but then as everyone got, you know, to be adults, and now some are married and having children and all of those things, the house was feeling pretty cramped for family gatherings. And honestly, in my heart, I wanted to go and prepare a place that would be safe and have enough space inside and out so that if our grown children and their families ever needed a place to go or wanted to come and visit together, we would have plenty of room for everyone. So we wanted to have a little bit larger home, and we wanted to have an open floor plan with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, so that there would be just plenty of room for everyone. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to eat this up. I wish you could have some with me. All right, so I'm going to have some of this. It looks so good. So I just really wanted to do this, you know, include this in the video, our decision of why we moved, because we've just been asked that question so many times, and that's okay. We did move. It was a big move for us, very big. But we needed to follow God's leading, and there were so many other reasons as well that played into it, for sure. But also I wanted to say, it's okay, you know, if some people don't understand, like, how could you move that far away, or how could you move at your age, or how could you leave your family and friends? And it really came down to following God's lead every step of the way. And it's the same with other things too, you know. We all make decisions about our faith, or we've made decisions about having our babies at home, you know, home birth, also homeschool, what kind of work we do, and where, you know, to move or not to move, and where to relocate to. So it's okay. But I just wanted to go ahead and kind of share my heart on that with you today. And the truth of the matter is, when you are called to move, you move. And we prayed over this decision, and we did our very best to follow God's leading every step of the way. Okay, so the process of us actually moving went over the span of a few years. In 2021, we researched in depth. Okay, we really wanted to figure out where we were going to relocate to. And then in 2022, we took a trip out to South Carolina. We had narrowed it down, pretty certain that we were going to be moving to South Carolina. So we took a trip out here to get our feet on the ground and to really ask God for confirmation. And we both felt like we got 110% confirmation. This is where He was calling us to come to. So we made our decision, we told our family, and we started preparing. And then in 2023, we continued preparing, getting everything ready, all the things. And it was a lot. And we sold our house and we moved. It was like running 3 marathons back to back, honestly. Oh my goodness. And more on that in another video. But the basic route we took. Okay, we left on a Tuesday, 2023. This is September 19th. And we left the town where we had lived for 25 years, where we had raised our family. And we left, our family and friends and everything familiar. And we headed east towards Nevada. So we ended up going from California through Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, a little bit of Ohio and Illinois, I believe, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, and then up into South Carolina. It took a week. And we rented a house from some very dear friends of ours in the upstate for 3 months. And then we moved on to our property. So that's kind of it, the move in a nutshell. So anyways, I hope that kind of clears some things up and answers questions that we've been receiving about why did you decide to move and what was your trip like when you came out and where did you end up? So we are in the upstate, and we were able to find a property that met most of the things on our list that I shared before. So we were really thankful for that. God really provided both before the move, during the move, and after the move, every step of the way. So we give Him all the glory, and we're very thankful. Please continue to join us each week as we share our experiences, our projects, and ideas for healthy living. 3 easy ways that you can help us actually and show your love and support would be to like a video, to press subscribe and subscribe to the channel, or also it would be wonderful if you left a few words of encouragement down below in the comments. Please join us next week as we get to work around here on a project outside. And God bless you and keep you. We'll see y'all on the next one.